So this video is going to cover um, how I like to use Rizom UV to speed up my UV mapping workflow. So let's first of all let's bring in a model. So here I have a yacht right now. It's already UV'd, but I'm just gonna import this into Rizom and then create a new UV set for it. Um, so to do that, I guess let's just pick a piece and then export that to FBX. You can call it anything. And as far as the settings goes, you want to copy these settings I have here. You don't need the animations, no camera, and then yeah, that's pretty much it. And then now you can import it. Now there's a couple ways to load it. You can load it with or without the UVs. So if it already has UVs, you can just load it with UVs, and then you can actually it'll show up. So you can sort of see the UVs that I already created for it right here. Now if you decided to load it without the UVs and you wanted to create the UVs inside of Rizom, you'll load it, but you'll notice that the UVs are just like they're they're not made at all. So let's just go ahead and go over the procedure in which I like to use Rizom to automate the process. So so if you import a model that has multiple pieces like this, and you want to just work on one piece at a time, what you want to do is you want to click on this piece right here called the primitive polygon mode. And then there's a couple ways to select elements. I like to double click the middle mouse button. So if you double click on your middle mouse button, it'll select elements like that. So let's just select this element and work on this. So once it's selected, you just click on isolate. Actually, let me see if there's a couple ways to isolate. It's kind of isolate selected. Yeah, I don't know why this one doesn't work. Isolate it. Oh, it's because it thinks it's an. This only works if it was an island. So yeah, it's better to use this one. Isolate selected here. So anyway, so now that I have this isolated, I can cut this up. So one of the great things about Rizom UV is it has a really great algorithm for automatically cutting this up. Now I can go in here and manually cut it up by doing this here by selecting the edge mode, and then selecting the edges manually, and then pressing the cut or press C to cut it. But this is kind of tedious. Oh, one thing I probably should cover is the way that I'm navigating here. I'm using the Maya default navigation. So you can actually change the way you navigate by clicking on the keyboard and mouse customizer, and then you can choose which one you like. So if you're a 3D Studios Max user, you can click this one, or Blender, or the default Rizom UV one. But I like the Maya one myself. So once you've selected it, just go save and close. You can also select your hotkeys here, set your hotkeys, and then save and close. Now let's go back to selecting those edges here. So again, as I said, you can manually select them and then cut them this way. Now to add more edges, you got to press shift. Well, I'm in Maya mode, so pressing shift will add edges, and then pressing control will delete those edge selections. So let's just say we want to select edge. Now you'll notice that it's only selecting like it's not going all the way to the edge loops. You can make it go all the way by just disabling the edge count limit. So before I had it to only select up to 4 edges, but if you turn it off, you can select as many as you like. It'll go all the way to the end, so until it reaches the end of the edge loop. And this is pretty useful if you have a clean mesh. So let's just say I want to cut that, press C. Yeah, it'll turn orange, meaning that it's been cut. Yeah, and then I want to cut this one. Now you'll notice that sometimes it doesn't follow the edge correctly. Um, Now, could be several reasons for that. It's because it wasn't able to see. Because if you look at the wireframe, this model actually came in as a triangulated mesh, so it's not able to follow uh, the angles as you would have preferred. So one way of alleviating that is to play with this angle limit here. If you set it down to lower, it shouldn't. Okay, well, um, yeah, actually, it's actually like sometimes using this automatic edge follower thing doesn't really work as well as you would have liked. So what I just end up doing is I just end up control and then just deselecting these edges that didn't work, and then just continuing on like that, and then hopefully you'll it'll that didn't work. There, hey, that one was good. So yeah, you just gotta kind of double click and play with it a bit. Yeah. So yeah, as I said, when you double click it, it'll do the whole edge loop. But if you just single click, it'll just click one edge at a time, and then hold down the shift to add more. So while I'm holding down shift, I can actually even hold down the shift and double click, and it'll continue the loop as well. So, and then control to remove. Um, so one thing is when you're selecting edges, you'll notice it doesn't select the back facing edges. Sometimes you actually want to select the back facing. So like when you do this, you want it to select the ones on the back. So to do that, you have to go to edit and then select. It's under raycasting here. So under raycasting, you want to turn off. You want to disable raycasting. So what this will do is it'll actually select the back facing ones. See, so it's selected back all the way back there. So by default, this is actually turned on because it just I guess for that it kind of sometimes it just makes sense to do that. So anyways, that's how you select and cut edges. It's not a whole lot different than using like 3D Studios Max or that kind of thing. But the reason I really like Rizom is it actually has a really smart way of automatically cutting the edges. So to use that, you just make sure that you're in the edge selection mode, and then you go over here um, under the auto seams here. There's a panel here called. Oops, sorry, I folded it. So under auto seams, now there's several different ways of. They have several different algorithms that will actually automatically cut the edges. So let's just try the first one. Let me just drag this over so you can see it better. So the first one is a pouts seam, and then to automatically select the edges, you just press this one, A. Now what it just did was it automatically selected edges that it feels would cut up this mesh and unwrap it properly. So if you're not happy with the way it cut it up for this one, you can actually play around with some of these settings. So if you turn on this particular setting here, if you play with the stretch limiter, if you move the stretch limiter up here, it'll actually make more cuts. Now it's actually working. If you can see down here, it's working. It's a bit slow. Okay, so yeah, so that's actually too many cuts, and that's exactly not what we want. I mean, that doesn't look good at all. You know, if we were to unwrap this, it's gonna create a whole bunch of UV islands, and that's not what we want. So the higher this value is, the more cuts it will make. So generally speaking, like depending on your model, you want to play with the settings. So like for this particular boat here, I would want to just try to play with this, see what this looks like here. And so it did that. Yeah, so if you're not happy with the way it's cutting, you can actually try a different algorithm, or you can actually play around with these advanced options. But these generally, I don't play with this, for now. Maybe later if you want to experiment with that. But another algorithm that does the automatic cutting is called a mosaic one. So this one might be better for this particular mesh. So let's try this auto. So now let's see. It's a little bit, but I mean, so I mean, generally speaking, this is I use this program when I want to do really fast UVs, and I don't care about how the layouts and that kind of thing. So for this particular mesh, I probably would have spent more time to manually select the edges. But I'm only just showing you these different algorithms that can kind of automate the process. So this particular mosaic algorithm has different settings. So the higher the number here, the more cuts it will make. So if you selected the first one, it's not going to make very many cuts at all. Well, it did make some cuts, but it's pretty much less than the one. So if you were to set it to 5, it makes a shit ton of cuts. But let's just set it to 4 and see the difference. So yeah, I mean, as you can see, it's actually it seems to have been making more cuts. 4, 5. Oh, that's interesting. It doesn't seem to have affected the number of cuts too much. So yeah, it really depends on the model. So this model, it's kind of, I would say it's kind of a hard edge model. It's like if this was like an organic model, it would actually have a bigger difference. These numbers would actually make a bigger difference. But anyways, let's take a look at the third algorithm. This one's pretty cool. It basically just it's pretty simple one actually. Let's see what it does. So it creates the cuts based on the angle, based on this value here, the angle. So the higher this value that you set it, the less cuts it's going to make. So it's going to include faces that have an angle greater than 150. So basically, let's see what that looks like. It's cutting it. Oh, okay. So that's see, as you can see, this is starting to look cleaner and kind of how I would have manually cut it up. So if you set it to like 180, it's not going to have as many cuts. Oh, okay. Well, let me see it. Let me set it to this. Now it's going to cut like nuts. Oh, well, anyways, it should have cut like nuts. Let me see 0, 3. Come on, go crazy. Anyways, yeah. So the lower the value, the more cuts it seems to have made. But anyways, let's go back up to 160. That would actually look pretty good for this particular mesh. Okay, so this looks good, and this is something that I'd be happy with. And now you want to basically cut it up, and to cut it up and unfold it, you just press this button here. Boom. Now what this is going to do, it's going to cut it up and lay it out flat, basically. And yeah, this is a mess, but now you want to press this button. This will pack it up and rotate the islands so then it looks clean. Okay, let's see. It should have been better spacing. It's curious about why the spacing is so weird. Maybe it's because it. Oh shoot! It's actually because it cut out. It was actually cutting up the rest as well. Oh wow. Okay. Anyways, I thought it would just cut up the ones that I was just focusing on, like this particular one here, but it seems to have packed this one up. So if you want to pack this up into its own section, just go. Oh, sorry. Click on this over here called the island. This is the primitive mode island. This is polygon. Yeah. So island mode refers to the UV islands. So there's 4 different primitive modes. You can select it by vertices. So now you're just selecting the vertices. You can select it by edges, and you can select it by UV by faces. Yeah. And then this one is by UV islands. So let's collect these UV islands and let's try to pack it so it fits together. It's weird. It seems to have. 'Cause, 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 Show all islands. See this. Okay. Yeah. There's you have it's a bit weird, the difference between the modes here. I'm trying to make it so it only works on these islands. Um, this, and then isolate that, and then if I were to pack. Ah, okay, so there. Okay. So what I did was the problem was I want to select this island here, and then I want to select all of them. Yeah. Okay. So basically, so let's say you want to pack this this particular mesh in sort of its own section, basically. To do that, oh no, okay. So to do that, what you need to do is you want to make sure that you're in island selection mode, and then you want to click on this island here, and then click on this button here. It'll select the element, or actually you can just double click on it like that. Sorry. And then what you need to do is you need to isolate it. So now it's just work. Now you're just working on this particular set of islands, and then you want to pack them up like that. So now it's its own basically its own group, and you can actually create a group here. So basically, um, now if you were to see the rest of them, and then you did it, and then you did a pack again. Oh, sorry. Yeah, and then you did a pack again. It would have kept those islands as its own section, and it would have, and now it's kind of moved the rest of them around it, the rest of the mesh, kind of around it, kind of thing. So, so yeah, that's yeah, it's a bit different than 3D Studios in Maya in that these it treats the groups the way that you kind of group the islands like this. It's it's something that you kind of have to get used to. It's a different concept than in other programs that I'm familiar with. But anyways, let's get to how do you move islands. It's a bit weird. It's you gotta make sure that you're under the edit mode select here. Now to move something, so if I click on this and if you wanted to move it around, there's actually a couple ways of doing this. So you can press the tab key, or sorry, you can press and hold the tab key, which you gotta hold it down. Now when you hold it down, it brings up the gizmo here. So now you just left click and you can move it around. Now the gizmo, oh sorry. Oh, to pan around like this, you gotta. I'm holding down my Alt key and then I'm using the middle mouse key, button to pan around. This is like in Maya, right? So middle mouse button, and then the right button will zoom in and out. So middle mouse button to pan, and sorry, the right button to zoom in and out. Now I'm doing all of this while my out button is the Alt key is held down. So you got to press the Alt key and then right mouse button to zoom in and out, and then left or sort of middle to pan. So let's get back to moving these pieces here again. So to move this piece, you click on it, make sure you're under select mode, and if you hold down the the tab key, you'll bring up the gizmo, and the gizmo allows you to just drag it around like that. If you click on this, it'll drag it just horizontally, and this is vertically. And this one is scale, I believe. No, wait, no, that doesn't scale. This one does it in all directions. Right. This top one is rotate. Hmm. Now you notice the rotation is free rotation. If you wanted to lock it to certain degrees, you can click on the 45, like the in here, and then you can specify the degrees to rotate it by. So now it's rotating in 45 degrees. But alternatively, you can click on this to like do that as well, 90-degree increments. So lastly, you can scale it by using this edge angle right here. So that's how you move islands around. It's kind of weird because you got to hold the tab down. There's also another way of moving islands, holding down the space bar. So now when you hold down the space bar and you press left mouse button in and out, you can scale it. And if you press the middle mouse button, you can move it around like that. And then the right mouse button can rotate it. So yeah, it's a bit weird as because there's a couple ways to move it like that. But I prefer the out way where you hold down the Alt tab and then you can just drag like that. Oh, sorry. And actually, there's actually a third way. Okay, so the other way is actually to actually explicitly go into the transform mode. So now you don't have to hold down the the tab key. It'll keep the transform gizmo on it, even if you have no key pressed down. So this is kind of a different way of moving it. I mean, you might prefer this way because I think this way is a bit more closely resembles the 3D Studios Max way where, okay, so you select the piece and then now you can just move it around. You don't have to hold down the tab key. Yeah. But anyways, yeah, just note that there's a difference between being in the transform mode and being in the select mode. When you're in the select mode, you can't actually move it until you press the tab key down. So, anyways, kind of weird. I mean, totally kind of different. It's something you'll get used to. But anyways, let's get back to finishing up these packs. So now so this one's already packed up, and I don't need to mess with that. But these guys over here, they're not packed. Well, I mean, they are separated, but I don't think they are actually. Oh, they are actually. Sorry, they are. This one looks a bit weird. It doesn't look like it's been um, it's been unpacked. Okay. Oh, to actually explicitly unpack something like using a brush, you can actually do this. The unfold brush. So if you click on this thing here, and then you. Oh, sorry. Something optimized brush. No. This is a distortion brush, and this one will unpack it. Well, I guess it was unpacked. I guess that's what it looks like. Oh, okay then. I guess that is what it looks like when it's unpacked. So yeah, everything here is already unpacked, and then to lay it out again, just click on this thing here, and it'll just pack after selected edges. Yeah, it'll lay it out. No, actually, sorry. Oh, this is the selected edges. This one, I think this one packs the islands. Yeah. Pack global. Yeah, you're probably thinking, "Wow, man, this is confusing." It took me a couple days to come to grips with it. There's a few tutorials on YouTube. I don't know why it's not packing. Oh, maybe because I have to select the. Oh, I didn't have the island selected. Okay, there we go. Yeah, the reason it wasn't working was because I didn't select any of the islands. I actually just had this. I only had this selected. So now it's when I clicked on that, it's only packing, it's only packing and organizing that. so that's why I was doing that. Yeah. So make sure you are aware of which islands are currently selected. So before you press this, you want to make sure that either you want to make sure you're in the island selection mode, and then you want to make sure everything is selected, or alternatively everything is deselected. When it's deselected, it just packs everything. Yeah, that's why. So now that's kind of what you wanted, what I wanted it to do. Um, so another thing I could have done was, okay, now suppose I wanted to keep this in a group because like the pieces here are kind of all over the place. So you can just do this again. You can just select these ones as I just did, and then click on this. Oh, okay, no. What you need to do is actually you need to isolate it. Right, so now you isolate it and then you click on this. Now it'll just pack it into its own group. Now I don't like the fact that this thing is too long. It's taking up too much. So now I'm gonna cut this, and then I'm gonna do that pack again. There, that's a bit better. So it looks more square, and it's actually cut that up as well. Press C. I'm pressing C to cut this thing, and then I'm pressing, and then I'm going back into my island mode, and then selecting that, and then sorry, I'm in edge mode, and then click that. Oh, okay, so now it's a much better pack. So now once I'm happy with that, I just select it all and press group. Oh, in order to group them, you got to be in island mode. It takes a while to get comfortable with all these different modes, but once you do, you should be okay. Sorry, this is the island mode. So this is the island mode. Now you click create group. Now it's actually made a group of it. Now when you go to show all, you'll notice that you'll see that this is a group. Oh, sorry. If you want to select by groups, right. So now we have like two groups, and then we have everything else kind of like meshed up. So if I were to pack this, it's gonna keep these two groups in the same region, and then it's gonna have the rest of the pieces just kind of arranged, just haphazardly, in its own kind of way. So if you look at it like you notice that this is grouped together, and this is grouped together, and everything else, like the rest of the boat is just kind of like placed wherever. So it's kind of putting pieces in over here. So sometimes I like to group things accordingly, because it makes it easier for me to texture map it later. So yeah, that's one way of doing it for this particular boat. Now to bring it back into 3D Studios Mesh, to your 3D Studios package or Maya or whatever, just all you need to do is just click save. Now it'll save it as the FPX that you brought it in as, and then you go back to your 3D Studios Max, and then you just import it as what it was. So because I already have this piece here, I'm just gonna delete this, and then I gotta import this one again, and then there we go. Now, if you look at the UVs for it, should be as what it was created in the Rizom package. So that's how you basically transfer the model from Max to the Rizom UV. So let's try another one. Let's try this guy right here. So let's bring this one into Rizom UV. So I'm going to export this to Rizom UV. I can call it the same thing because I'm done with the other piece. I'm done with this, so I'm not gonna worry with the. So if I were to load this up again, like load Rizom UV, it's gonna load the new model that I just exported, right? So I loaded it without the UVs because I'm just gonna show you how to generate the cuts for this one. So for this one's much more complicated, and it's gonna cut it up far differently than what it did previously. So let's try to use this pout one here. Let's see, and then let's go automatic. Let's see what it does. Okay, so seems to have cut that one down that side pretty well, and then this one's a little bit messy, but like if you want to cut each piece differently. Okay, one thing you want to do is after you press that thing and you're not happy with the results, you can just left click and it'll just deselect. Actually, all this thing is doing is just selecting the edges. It's not actually cutting them. See, it doesn't actually cut them until you press the C button, the cut, right? So yeah, if you want to just work on individual pieces differently, like for example, these ones I would like to cut these up differently than I would cut these ones up. So what you would need to do is you need to select the pieces here using the polygon thing and double middle mouse button and hold down shift. That's weird. It's not letting me. Maybe it doesn't let me select more than 2 elements. Wait, let me see. Oh, okay, weird. Okay, so that's weird. Like, okay, if you want to select more than 2 elements, you can't really hold down Shift and then double click like that. It's for some reason that doesn't work. The best way to select more than 2 elements is just to select an individual piece from it and then just click on this button here called. It's up here. It's under select. It's called select elements. You can bind a hotkey to all of these keys later on if you go to their keyboard. So so okay. Now let's say I just want to work on these pieces. Like I just want to cut these ones up. So what I would need to do is I would need to isolate. Yeah. So maybe actually, you know what? I think I need to select it by islands. Okay, so that's probably a better way of selecting. So yeah, don't be in this mode when you're selecting elements. Go into this mode, and then if you isolate it, yeah, there we go. So now now I can cut it up. So let's just cut this thing up. So I want to use let's say I want to use this pout algorithm to cut these ones up, and that doesn't look too good actually. Let's try this algorithm, the mosaic one. I don't know, that doesn't look good. Let's try this one. It's a bit better actually. That's kind of how I would have cut it up. Yeah. So you can sort of see that they each have their own like strengths for depending on the mesh that you're working with. You want to play around with these different algorithms. This one is kind of not that useful. I find it's actually wait a minute. It's not too bad. This one is good for like a hard surface, like kind of like if your mesh is kind of boxy, you want to use that one. This one is that one's weird. Okay, this one doesn't do anything either. Anyways, you can play around. If you come across a mesh that's kind of a weird shape, you can just play around with these different algorithms. So let's just say I like this one. Let's just say that's a kind of a nice cut. But I don't. Okay, let's just remove this one. So I'm just gonna control left click here and just remove these edges here. And this looks a bit weird. I don't. It doesn't look right at all. And then shift double click here. Yeah. So anyways, it's not perfect, right? Like, as I said, this is not really. This is a tool that allows you to speed up the process for just UV mapping. Like the automatic algorithms that come with it may not give you perfect results, so you may have to come in here and just manually clean it up a bit and just make sure that the cuts are more what you would do. It's having a bit of a trouble. Okay, so that one's better. So that's no good. Anyways, whatever. Let's just go ahead and cut this. Press C to cut, and then you're gonna press this one to unwrap it, and then press this one to pack it. Okay, so hey, that doesn't look too bad. I mean, that's kind of like how I would have done it if I were to do it manually. I think. Let's cut this one like that, and then select that island. See if we can straighten that out. Oh no, it doesn't really. See, this strain thing is actually kind of cool. It works pretty well. I've done it for certain things where, like, if you want to. Oh, what? It's not cut. No, it is cut. Okay, so it is cut. Yeah, I'm trying to make this selection straight. So this is a cool feature here, right here. So if you select these islands and then you click this, awesome. It doesn't work on all things. Here, let's see if it works on this one. Oh, come on, man, for real? How about this one? It's weird. I've done it for certain islands where it's unfortunate. I don't know. I've actually done it where, like, if you had a piece like this and you wanted it to be like straight, because right now it's kind of curved, um, you can just click on this. But I'm not sure why it's not working. Save this. Sorry now. Okay. Well, anyways, there's a way of straining it like this, like doing this way. It's kind of tedious though. Oops. Oh, that's weird. Whatever. Okay. So, but that straighten thing is kind of neat if you have like a curved section and you want to straighten. But I don't know why it didn't work there. Um, anyways, so I'm happy with that. Let's just group this. Or make sure that we're in island mode. Select this and then create a group. Now it's gonna create a group. And then let's show the rest of the islands. Um, so yeah, now we got to do the rest of the pieces, right? So so for the rest of these pieces, we're gonna do a different algorithm. Let's isolate this. So let's try. mm, Let's try the mosaic one. Oh, in order to actually do the cut, you have to be in the edge mode. Yeah. So because or else it won't do the cuts. So let's go into that mode and then see what that does. So it seems to have cut it along here, which is not terrible. Let's try 2. Oh, it's a little bit better. It's a little bit cleaner. And okay, let's just say we're happy with that. Let's just unfold it and then pack that. And it seems to have packed it pretty well. So as you can sort of see, it does a pretty good job. I mean, this is exactly what I would have done like manually, to be honest. Sometimes it creates these little guys, these little islands here. But like if you really want to spend time and like clean it up, like for example, like if you want to merge these two together, well, actually they're not even the same thing. But if you let's just click on this piece here. Now you notice that it's like they're not together. Like if you want to merge them together, there's a couple ways to do that. Um, if you select the islands, 2 of them, and then you go to there's a weld here, weld across islands. I think that is, yeah. So you've connected them. Now obviously that's it's not full. It's not unwrapped properly. So let's try this brush here. Oh shit! I might have crashed the program. Yeah, be careful with this brush. I've had it crash the program a couple times, and yeah, shit, come on. Anyways, yeah, anyways, I'm just gonna stop this video here. I think I've kind of covered the UI well enough, but yeah, there's a lot of videos on the YouTube where it'll cover the UI a little bit in more in depth than I've done, but uh, feel free to check it out. I think it's worth learning this program actually. Um, it's really powerful in that the layout in it'll lay it out automatically and save you a lot of time. So yeah, hope you guys can take advantage of this.